So yeah, definitely everything's visual or visible, and as you can see in the cassette tapes here, Rubydragon's timer is going to appear here. We generally use an in-game timer. Tidal has their live split set up to like kind of sync up with the Celeste in-game timer. It's fairly accurate, so yeah, it's a lot easier than just like using RTA and just like having to match through menus. Like so let's use IGT. So that's going to be the thing that we have to pay attention to. And so we're just jumping through the prologue here, just a 40-second jaunt. Some jumps, each of these little bunny hops that these runners are doing saves about 2 frames. So we just have to jump to save that 1 hot second in prologue. And then we just sit through this tiny cutscene with this bird. The game tells us we can do this, and we'll be off to the races. Okay, so chapter 1 is kind of a simple chapter. It's going to real quickly introduce us to the main speed tech that we use, which is, the dash. And with the dash, we can set up, our wall bounces where we kind of dash against the wall and press A so that we get a little bit of an extra height. And we also get to be introduced to hyper dashing, where we're kind of dashing against the ground and just going real fast across the screen. So chapter 1 is a very short, fairly simple chapter. Even if you mess up a little bit, no mistake here is really costly. Like a bad chapter 1, you're probably losing maybe 10-20 seconds off of your gold split. And it's looking like Rubydragon's having a couple stumbles here and there, but again, nothing too costly. Maybe they just need to get warmed up. It has been maybe a week or so since their last race, and if they haven't been practicing any percent in the meantime, there may be a little bit of rust that needs to be shaken off. But again, chapter 1's very good for shaking off the rust and being reacquainted with the movement. Yep, both runners taking a death on this screen where they're trying to do a sneaky little wave dash under this platform to kind of latch onto this wall. Rubydragon having a little bit more than a little trouble. A couple deaths there, but yeah, finally makes it through. Yeah, and both are now just a couple screens from the end. Yeah, maybe not the chapter 1 that they really want, but again, it's really just kind of making it out and not losing too much time. Yeah, Rubydragon. Oh, yikes. Yeah, didn't quite remember. I didn't quite get the dash, so they kind of ended up below that little platform there and had to take a death, which is pretty sad. But again, yeah, they're out of there 136 as opposed to I think it was a 119 for Tidal. So yeah, Tidal with a little bit of a lead, but again, plenty of space for Rubydragon to catch up. Yeah, and chapter 2 is another fairly short but sweet chapter. Yeah, so we see Tidal kind of executing one of the, I think really the only realistic glitch that we're going to be seeing in this run, where they're kind of jumping at the same, so that when they trigger a cutscene, they'll be in a space where their Y position will let them spawn inside a block. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, it's definitely something that saves a couple seconds, and Celeste is definitely a game where every second counts. Yeah, Tidal, so yeah, Rubydragon is about to activate the dream blocks, where you kind of dash all the way through these blocks and they make a really cool sound. And they're a really fun mechanic. It's all too short-lived, but it's really used pretty well in this chapter. And we also see Tidal in the battle line chase sequence, which Rubydragon is going to be starting soon, where basically a shadow version of ourselves chases us around, and they will mimic our movements on a 3-second delay. So we really have to kind of route out our movements so that we're not only moving fast, but we're also moving in a way that we will avoid getting hit by battle line. And we see Tidal there just kind of doing the sneaky little dash through battle line 1 and 2. So yeah, pretty cool. They're getting in this long room, the final room of the battle line chase sequence. Oh yikes, takes a death right near the end. Didn't quite time the a dash into that dream block quite right. So yeah, and this is the longest room in the old site chapter. So a death there is really costly, can really set you back. And yeah, if Rubydragon can get through this room cleanly, they'll have made up a fairly significant chunk of time on Tidal. So yeah, let's see how they handle this. Yeah, gets it on the first try. So yeah, definitely made up some of the deficit there, which is really cool to see. Again, Again, like these two runners are very close in PBs, so yeah. So yeah, both runners in the awake section, where there's nothing here that can really realistically kill you. So the awake section is more about just like moving efficiently, like, you know, not getting clipped by, you know, any walls, not like running into too many corners, avoiding the springs in this screen that Rubydragon is going to be coming up in a couple seconds here. Yeah, it's really just about like really clean, really somewhat optimized movement. You know, just you don't want to lose too much speed on these screens because, you know, that can be a real killer. Like, even though you can't die, you can still lose several seconds to inefficient movement. But it looks like both runners got through pretty well. And Tidal starting Celestial Resort. So Celestial Resort, I think we all know this chapter from, like, even if we're not speedrunners, we know this from casual playthroughs, where it represents a significant difficulty spike, because now instead of, like, you know, just kind of like moving around freely, we now have to adjust to these dust bunnies that occupy the middle of the screen. And these dust bunnies will move around in cycles. So there's no RNG in this game, so we always know what patterns the dust bunnies are going to give us. So it's kind of about, like, you know, moving efficiently through these cycles. But yeah, you can definitely tell, like, you know, when a runner is like more experienced, depending on like how well they can cope with the Celestial Resort section. And yeah, Tidal having a little bit of difficulty with the first couple screens, but yeah, looks like they recovered. Looks like they're recognizing, hey, this is a race. I don't have that much time to dwell on mistakes. I have to just continue playing my game. That's, yeah, really solid. Doesn't quite get a wave dash off that second platform there. Yeah, they're through. They should hopefully be starting Huge Mess soon, as Rubydragon coming up on that same screen. Yeah, it gets a wave dash, and again, that's like maybe just a 1 second difference, but that time is definitely going to add up. Like, you know, as I've heard several times in when I was like working retail, every little bit counts. So yeah, so Tidal starting the Huge Mess section at about 6 minutes, and Rubydragon probably about 10-15 seconds behind, I'd say. Yeah, they're going to be entering that room at about 6:12. So yeah, very tight stuff coming into the tough parts of Chapter 3. So we're starting. So real quick, I'm just going to switch to Tidal because they are technically in the lead for now. And yeah, we barely even hear the music switch there because, like, these runners are so close. Like, nothing really changed. So yeah, Huge Mess section. Oh, yikes. That Rubydragon, that was a missed input there, I think. And yeah, and now that you saw from Rubydragon, so there are 2 cycles that each room has. There's the entrance cycle and the death cycle. And the death cycle is pretty much the entrance cycle, except it starts about like half a second earlier. So a lot of times, so, like, you know, obviously you don't want to die because dying is, you know, bad. It's time loss, but you also don't want to die in this chapter because oftentimes the death cycle is going to be slower than the entrance cycle, and it's going to be a little bit more challenging, as you saw from Rubydragon. You know, taking that first death in that room, put him on a different cycle, and then he just dashed into an enemy that he ordinarily wouldn't expect to be there. But again, they're recovering well from that. Yeah, getting through the second Huge Mess section pretty well, as Tidal is entering the I think it's the Tau section of Huge Mess, where basically the object of these 3 rooms is we have to get to a key in the center, and we have to clear out like a bunch of clutter in order to get to that key. So we clear out the clutter in a very specific order. You can enter these 3 rooms in any order you want, but we enter them in the order that puts us closer to Oshiro when we exit the section. Yeah, Tidal having a pretty clean go of the Huge Mess section, so we'll see how they handle the rest of Celestial Resort. And Rubydragon's going to be joining them in the elevator shaft in short order. Yeah, so Tidal getting through these rooms pretty well, using like an assortment of wall bounces and dash jumps and hyper dashes to kind of, like, you know, shave off like a half second here and there. Now they're in the quad hyper dash room. Very nice work. yeah, just four hyper dashes, and like, you know, that's a room that definitely looks a lot easier than it actually is, and because like, you know, it's all about like, you know, having to control your hyper dash and like, you know, knowing like how long you have to press A for, knowing like where on the platforms you have to land in order to like get those dashes. So yeah, very nice work. And they're going to be starting their Oshiro chase sequence as Rubydragon's about to come up onto their own quad hyper room. Yeah, so Mr. Oshiro here is the I don't want to call him the antagonist because that would imply he's an enemy, but yeah, he's going to be chasing us throughout the section, and what he's going to do is he's going to like hover on the left side of the screen there, lock onto our vertical position at some point, and then charge at us. So, oh yikes, yeah, Tidal, knowing that there is no way to save that, because in this room on the walls, yeah, so what Tidal's dealing with here is on the walls, the longer if you hang onto those walls for even a frame, once you release, you create like a floor of dust bunnies, and you can't grab onto that room anymore. So Tidal, you know, kind of messed up their movement, and yeah, just had to take a death because there was really no way to recover from that, because if they tried to jump back onto the walls, they would, you know, take a death. So yeah, like this section is very challenging, especially for new players, because like you're dealing with all these, like not just like this dust bunny cycles, but also Oshiro cycles at the same time. So you really have to trust your movements here, and just trust that you're like moving not just fast enough, but like in the right place to avoid Oshiro. Yeah, Tidal's through with about 10-18. Rubydragon's onto that same room as well, and Rubydragon took an intentional retry there to put him on the death cycle. And you know, some players will find the death cycle. Ooh, bopped Oshiro there. I'm not sure what that's gonna do for how they're gonna handle this. Oh, very nice. I don't know if that last part of that room was intentional, clipping onto that or grabbing onto that wall and just like barely having Oshiro graze over their head, but that was really nice. And not dying in that room, you take it. You just go ahead and take it. But yeah, he took a death there, and that put him on a cycle that they were more comfortable with, is what I was going to say before cool stuff happened. So yeah, they're both onto Golden Ridge at this point. And I think Ruby has like Tidal has a 20-second advantage over Ruby at this point. And again, that's certainly something that can be made up, especially in Ridge, which can definitely be a letdown chapter if you've had like, you know, a decent run up to this point. Ridge has a lot of really precise tricks that can go really wrong really quickly. You know, and it's not just tricks, it's also the fact that you're dealing with the wind, you're dealing with these like weird cloud platforms. So yeah, there's a lot that the runners will have to deal with in Ridge, so we'll have to see how they kind of handle this here. So Rubydragon coming up on another spike jump where they're trying to like get a wall, trying to get like a tiny little wall jump off the like part of the spike hitbox that is a wall there. Yeah, gets it on the second try. It's another couple wall bounces here that look pretty sweet. All right, Rubydragon going for auto scroll skip, gets it first try, and that's really solid because, like, you know, if you take a death on the auto scroller skip, you have to like ride that auto scrolling block again, and that can be a pretty significant time loss, especially in a race that's as close as this one is shaping up to be. And Tidal now in this room with an auto scroller that is unskippable for humans. If you've ever seen the stats, you know that there's a way to skip this, but it's pretty non-viable for like actual attempts. Yeah, Tidal has been handling this part of the game pretty well here. Yeah, they're in the last room of what's it called? Cliff. They're headed off to like Old Trail now. So yeah, so this is the harsh wind section where we have this wind blowing us back. So there's been wind all throughout Golden Ridge where we're still able to move through it, but like it's more efficient to like dash through it. Now dashing is the only way to get through this part of the game. And in addition to this harsh wind that's just pushing us back and forcing us to constantly like hyper dash and all that, we also have snowballs. And snowballs are like mini Oshiros, except you know, Oshiro's kind enough to flash a lightning bolt across the screen when they're about to charge at us. Snowballs just kind of appear, and they don't really make a noise. There's no like visual cue. You just have to trust that your movements are going to take you out of the way of the snowball's path as you're advancing through the screen. You also have to be reacting to them. So like the closer you get to the edge of the screen, the less time that you have to react to the snowballs. But Tidal getting through that section really nicely. And Rubydragon also following suit. Yeah. Oh, a little bit too much momentum. So they missed the dash block, and dash blocks are they're like blocks in the middle of the air that kind of like refresh your dash and like spit you out with the speed of a dash. But yeah. Yeah, Tidal is through 1349. Rubydragon in the pretty much the last screen of Old Ridge. Oh wow, and they're out with 1356. So yeah, that's definitely a ton of time made up for Ruby. So yeah, 7-second deficit heading into the Mirror Temple. That's dense, y'all. So yeah, Mirror Temple is, I would say it's one of the cooler chapters in this game. Like, it has like this really distinct visual style, especially in the latter half of this course. And there's also like a bunch of really cool movement, a couple of really cool skips, like this nice little reverse dash there to skip a couple of rooms and a entry into one of these red bubbles. Red bubbles kind of acting the same way as dash bubbles in chapter 3 or chapter 4, where instead of like just giving you a dash, Rubydragon reverse dashing a little bit too far, but yeah, it recovers nicely. Gets into this room, gets a skip anyway. And Tidal moving pretty cleanly. Yeah, they're about a room away from this little dev-intended skip. So you're supposed to like do this thing that Tidal's doing with the keys so that you can unlock one of the collectibles in this game, but we're not looking for collectibles. This is any percent. So yeah, Tidal's just going to take that shortcut, and he's going to, skip a long sequence where you have to like grab that key in a vanilla playthrough. Oh. Yeah, and barely squeaking through that little spike cycle there. Yeah, definitely that room would have set them back like really, really far. But yeah, they're getting it, and they are going to introduce us to Seekers. So Seekers are these enemies that will chase us across the screen. They'll lock onto our position and just kind of like try to attack us from wherever they are. So we have this like narratively nice little segment where the game teaches us how to control what Seekers do by this dream sequence. And Seekers, when you control them, are a little bit unwieldy. So yeah, very efficient Seeker movement from Tidal. And they will be starting with the Seeker section in a couple rooms here after this long series of cutscene skips. Yeah, Rubydragon not that far behind. A couple little movement errors that's kind of like set them back a little bit, but again, still very close heading into this chapter. And Tidal now dealing with the Seeker. So Seekers can be kind of helpful because, like you just saw on Tidal screen, they can activate some of these key coins, and key coins, you basically hit them all and they unlock a door so that you can progress through the game. It's kind of self-explanatory. Yeah, so they also are able to like activate the key coins, and we're kind of like, manipulating their movement so that they'll give us a little bit of help through these screens, but they can also really hurt us. And, especially on this screen where we're going to use them to operate this key coin, but then we kind of have to react to how they're going to be moving through the screen. So yeah, that was a friendly little secret from Tidal there, just kind of like, bumbled around for a little bit and just like never really activated or locked onto us. So Tidal just gave them a little bop and they got through that room pretty well. We'll see how Rubydragon handles this room because this can be like a major point. So yeah, they don't get the jump on the Seeker. So now they're going to have to react to whatever the Seeker gets. Oh, yikes. Yeah, kind of latched onto that wall and just really couldn't react to like how the Seeker was going to play. So, and again, they're not like getting the small Seeker kill. They're not like, jumping on the Seeker, which will give them like a few seconds to like kind of move without having to worry about the Seeker. But yeah, gets it on the third try, which is still pretty okay, but that is going to set them behind Tidal, who's going to be starting the Theo section. Yeah, so Tidal on the Theo section as Rubydragon sets up for Search Skip being that reverse dash, that reverse jump dash, which saves like a significant amount of time. Very nice from Rubydragon. So yeah, Theo section is another section where like not only are we dealing with these Seekers, but we have to escort Theo across multiple long rooms. So Theo is our friend we encounter in the main plot of the game. Oh, Tidal drops Theo there. Was not expecting to do that. Has to react. All right, yeah, just rather nicely. But yeah, Theo is... So when we're holding Theo, our crystal friend, we're not able to dash while we're holding him. So basically, like when we're trying to move across these screens, we'll be doing what Tidal's doing, and what we're also going to see Rubydragon do here, which is throw him, dash, and try to catch him in the middle of the dash. Because when we catch him, we'll still retain our momentum from our dash, and we'll still be moving pretty quickly with Theo. Oh, Tidal, you have to bring Theo. Okay, gets that nice little bop on the Seeker for good measure. Yeah, this may be helping Ruby catch up on some of the time. This like semi sort of inefficient Theo crystal section. Okay, Rubydragon gets through that room, just barely avoids getting nicked by that Seeker. And Tidal is in the last room of the Theo rescue. So basically, they're trying to time their dash. So there's this eyeball waiting for us at the end of this room. Spoilers, and this eyeball is firing these like pulsing waves at us. So we're trying to dash at the same time that we hit these waves. Oh, a little bit of trouble throwing Theo. Okay, yeah, gets it eventually. Yeah, so 1916 out of Mirror Temple. So yeah, we're just trying to like dash at the same time as the waves hit us, so that we're kind of like negating the effects of the eyeballs waves, and we're able to get through. So yeah, 1916 for Tidal. Rubydragon is going to be a little bit further behind than they were coming out of Ridge. Again, leaving Theo behind, not timing the dash quite well enough to like kind of move through. Yeah. All right, and they, yep, so 1949 for Rubydragon, so a little over half a minute behind. So yeah, and I would wager that a significant portion of that time was that last room in Unraveling. Like, that last room in Unraveling, that long room with that Seeker that Rubydragon died on twice, that can definitely be like something that kills a run. But again, the run's not over yet, still a lot of race left, and you know, Reflection is another chapter where there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. So in Reflection, we have these feathers that we're dealing with. So feathers give us a full 360-degree range of movement, as opposed to Madeline's normal movement, which is 8-way, you know, up, down, left, right diagonals. So feathers represent like, you know, a different level of control than we're typically used to having over the rest of this run. And not only are we dealing with that, we're also like trying to navigate feathers through these long spike mazes. And any death that you take on these spikes, it can lose a ton of time, because these are a lot of long rooms, and you know, that death can just really feel agonizing. Like, Reflection can be brutal. Like, it's just this gauntlet of spikes and feathers, and it's really more of an endurance test than anything else. Oh yeah, and we also have bumpers, as we just saw on title screen. So bumpers can kind of feel silly from time to time, because like, you have to land on them a certain way, and if you don't land on them in that way, they will bounce you into spikes, and it's going to feel pretty demoralizing. Yeah, Tidal, a couple issues in this section, but yeah, getting through. And another thing about this section that both runners are on, so there are divergent paths in, like, you know, each of these screens. Like, on the screen with the feather and all the bumpers, there are 2 paths that you can go on. It's pretty set in stone, like, you know, which rooms are faster and which rooms are slower. So yeah, you'll typically see most runners, especially at this level, kind of taking the same path. Like, yes, Tidal. So both runners making it through pretty nicely. Rubydragon taking a quick little death, but you know, again, like in Reflection, if you can take, ooh, that one was a little bit less quick. Yeah, and you can kind of see like how the bumpers can kind of be, ooh, yikes. Yeah, kind of the same thing happened there. Yeah, so Rubydragon is trying to land on top of that one bumper there, but they're landing on the top and slightly to the side, so they bounce a little bit to the side, and they're trying to like and that can definitely throw off your rhythm when you don't hit the bumper in the way that you want to. So yeah, a few little extra deaths in that room. So yeah, and then Tidal getting through another Devon 10 skip here rather nicely. Again, that's supposed to be a long maze with a bunch of spikes and you trying to like bounce on a ton of bumpers for you to get through it. But if you know the layout, you can kind of see that there's like this little notch in the middle of that room that you can just kind of sneak through. Tidal sneaks through, and they will be starting the battle line fight after this ride on the Kevin block or the Crush block, whichever, depending on like how canonical you want to be. Yeah, Tidal clipping into the wall, so they're not going to get like the full battle line boost, but again, still pretty quick movement through that section, and now they're in the battle line fight. So battle line fight, you know, like the rest of Reflection, it's very long rooms. You definitely don't want to take a death, and we're also dealing with like having to bounce into battle line. So again, the main thing with this fight is we just have to constantly knock some sense into battle line by just knocking ourselves into her over and over and over again. So one thing that you're going to be seeing from both runners is they're just sorry, I got ahead of myself. So there's not a ton of ways to like speed this up. Like there's, you know, a couple strats here and there that can save a second, but really the main thing that you're trying to do is get to the ground as fast as possible, because all of our movement is based on our interactions with the ground. And yeah, because like when you're in the air, as you're just kind of hanging there, there's really not much you can do to like kind of speed up. So the sooner that you can get back to the ground and continue like, you know, doing all those really cool hyper dashes, the better. Yeah, Tidal's a really solid battle line section so far. No deaths that I have noticed, and Rubydragon starting their own battle line fight. Yeah, I don't know if either runner has the restream up, but yeah, Tidal may know that they have so I'm not sure if Tidal knows that he has a minor lead, but yeah, they are doing all that they can not to lose it right now, which is pretty cool. And Rubydragon doing all they can to kind of make up whatever time they have to make back. All right, so Tidal is out of the normal music battle line phase. Again, like this level has one of the more iconic songs in a soundtrack that's like just full of really amazing music work, and they are onto the remix section, which comprises the last third of the battle line fight. Just like 6 screens, and now, you know, in addition to like battle lines, orbs and lasers, they also have to deal with battle lines moving platforms, because apparently she's psychic. So yeah, getting through this again, still really nicely. This is just like a really solid Reflection from Tidal so far. Like, I think maybe a couple mistakes in the beginning, but again, they've recovered nicely. On Rubydragon, almost had a slip up at the end there, which is definitely not something you would want to see, because like, you know, it's like kind of demoralizing if you like get through the main challenge of the screen and just die because you just fell off a ledge or something. But yeah, Rubydragon also recovering. They're in the last room of phase 1, as Tidal is in the last room of phase 2. All right, so Tidal is out of battle line. And now, you know, again, this is like, so the last 20-30 seconds of Reflection are just like another part of the level where you can't die. So, you know, and this is also like a vertical section, because this is introducing us to our double dash. So getting through the section, you know, really efficiently can also be key. But yeah, it's no problem for Tidal. That was really solid work in that last vertical screen there. And they are out of Reflection with a 26:04 on the clock. So yeah, really nice Reflection, and that, I think they may have increased the gap over Rubydragon with that. But again, we're going to be seeing Rubydragon. They're on the second to last screen of Reflection, as Tidal is starting the summit. Oh no, Rubydragon taking a death at the end of this really long screen, and yeah, I think they just may have missed the bumper. They may have hit the bumper and like at such a position that like it just kind of bounced them into the floor. Yeah, they get through it. They're on the last screen, as Tidal is on the Reflection remix of the Summit. So Summit is a level where, you know, now that we have a double dash, level design kind of accommodates for that. So a couple of like really neat screens where there's not really any floor to the level, and Rubydragon is going to be getting out of Reflection here shortly. Yeah, Tidal is, again, making really solid work. I didn't have a death. I didn't hear the death noise at all, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and Rubydragon, yeah, a combination of like, a couple minor missteps in Reflection and Tidal's own solid play. They are a little bit more than a minute behind at this point. And again, like Summit is a long level. It's the longest level in the game, and it's also the hardest level in the game because like it rewards consistency over everything. So a minute gap being made up isn't necessarily unheard of, but again, it's going to take a combination of like really solid play from Rubydragon and like a little bit of a letdown from Tidal for that gap to be closed. But again, like we'll just have to see. A lot of Celeste can happen. Yeah, Tidal going for this cycle skip doesn't quite get it. But again, still making it out. Again, like really solid work. And Rubydragon, oh, I think they may have lost their dash there, which was the impetus behind that retry. Yep, they're through that really long room with all the spikes and all the springs, and they will be getting in. So they are about one summit section behind Tidal at this point. Yeah, so Tidal is in the Return of the Dream blocks. And this section is also really cool. It's really satisfying to like kind of go through these dream blocks again after like having to endure like Seekers and Dust Bunnies. It's really nice to like revisit an old friend. Yeah, sneaking under that pillar there. Now in this section where we just have to find this orb so that Battleline can throw us. Yeah, really nice climb to the summit, and Rubydragon taking a death there. Went for the skip, so yeah, you saw what they were trying to do the first time there, just trying to like, avoid having to run into that dash crystal just by like effectively jumping. But yeah, that first time, they just missed that first dash, and they couldn't quite get to the dash crystal. Bad. Yeah, Tidal in 1500 as Rubydragon is about to enter 500. And yeah, Tidal is determined to just close the door, getting this like nice little ultra dash strat. Yeah, it doesn't quite go for all three ultras, kind of takes it safe at the end, but again, like really fast there. Like 1500 can definitely be known to like kind of kill a run or two, but Tidal is just determined not to like let Rubydragon back into this race. Really solid play all throughout the summit here so far from them. Yeah, so Tidal is out of 1500 into 2000 as Rubydragon is on the second to last screen, or now the last screen. Again, this is like how fast this game moves. You're just like, you talk about one thing and you miss like 12 other really cool things. Yeah, again, Tidal really maintaining that like, one summon section lead. Yeah, Tidal in the Rid remix, no real problem with the first couple rooms. Yeah, it's the first part of the auto-scroller skip and gets the nice little wall bounce there to complete the auto-scroller skip. So yeah, very nice stuff from Tidal. Yeah, Rubydragon, ooh, takes a death at the end of this second room of 1500. And again, Rubydragon, I haven't really noticed, like, I mean, there's been a couple mistakes here and there, but they've been having a really solid summit for themselves so far. It's just that Tidal has just, like, had really inspired play all throughout this section. Like, yeah, we'll just have to see how they handle the rest of the 2000 remakes here, but yeah, this is, like, just really solid. I'm saying solid a lot, just because, like, I mean, Tidal has just left me at a loss for words here. Yeah, grabbing Battleline there, and they're going to be entering at like, they're going to be entering 2500 with like a 512 through Summit, which is just really great. Yeah, and 2500 is definitely like a really cool section. Yeah, you saw like, you know, one really cool hyper dash, and you know that didn't go for both wave dashes in that room, but again, like still getting through it really quickly. Yeah, really nice first try key skip. Oh, and takes a death on that simple room, and I don't know, that may have been their first death all summit long, which is really impressive considering the circumstance that they find themselves in. You know, like the first race of the tournament, the first race of the bracket stage, I should say. But yeah, this is like, yeah, this is just like, again, like really inspiring, really solid. You know, if this isn't a reason to like, you know, follow both of these runners right now, and yeah, taking a quick death, I think they were going for door skip, and now they're deciding against it. They're just saying, okay, I'm just going to get through this section as quickly as I can. And now in the last room of 2500, the last room of these prior level revisits. And they are off to 3,000 meters, the last part of the run, as Rubydragon is, yeah, they are a couple screens away from being done with 2,000 meters. Yeah, according to speedrun.com, Tidal's PB is a 36:04. They looked like their timer was red coming out of, coming out of 2,500 meters, so yeah, I'm not sure if they're on PB pace, but yeah, this is still like a really solid run. Like, you know, even if their PB is a little bit outdated, like they're on pace for like a really good time in a race. Like not that far off their PB, even if their SRC PB is a little bit out of date. Oh, it was less than a second. Okay, so I did catch red. I just didn't catch a lot of red. Okay. So yeah, we'll just have to see how Tidal handles this 3,000 meter section. But you know, if their previous play in the summit is any indication, they should be more than capable of handling this. As Rubydragon setting up for a wave dash, but getting crushed by that block there. And yeah, oh, and yeah, accidentally hitting back on the controller and kind of taking a little bit of an accidental death, just like, you know, falling into the pit. But and now a little bit of trouble getting the key skip. Yeah, it gets it right there. But yeah, a lot of runners will, if they don't get that the first try, they'll kind of reset the screen. So because like it's a little bit easier to set up that key skip when you're entering the room. And yeah, Tidal, yeah, as I'm talking about Rubydragon, Tidal just like decimated the downdraft section onto the updraft section. Yeah, they're making pretty good work of this so far, as Rubydragon is going to be joining them in 3,000 meter. But yeah, it's going to take like a lot. It's going to take like a little bit more than one mistake from Tidal to turn the tide into Rubydragon's favor. So, oh, and oh yikes! Yeah, uses their dash a little bit earlier and doesn't quite get the height that they needed. Yeah, recovers, gets it on the second try there. Yeah, so as far as PB, that, I don't know if that death on Flag 7 would have sealed it necessarily, but yeah, 35:23 on the clock. They're going to need to complete these last 4 sections in under 40 seconds. Yeah, as Gix is saying in the chat, it's possible, but it's going to be very difficult. It's going to take really clean play throughout these like last couple flags. But, you know, Tidal seems up to the task if the first couple sections were any indication. Yeah, gets a nice little wall bounce there. Another wall bounce. Yeah, Tidal making the final climb on, you know, through flag 1, gonna get to the top of the summit, really close to PB. Oh, timer barely went red. Yeah. But yeah, still a really outstanding run in a race, getting that close to your PB. Get some GGs in the chat for Tidal. That was really, really good work from them. So yeah, Rubydragon is going to finish out the run, going to finish out this updraft section here, where the wind's just kind of blowing you up. Yeah, and as Chad is pointing out, that was like a half-second over PB, and you know, when you're in a tournament setting, consistency is definitely something that you're going to be aiming for, so getting that close to your PB in a race, that's like really something you want to see. So Tidal is going to be moving on to, it's going to be continuing through the upper bracket, and again, they will be facing the winner of Psych versus Rufon. And even taking the loss here, this is a double elimination tournament. So Rubydragon's time in this last 90% tournament is not done by any stretch of the imagination. They will have another match coming up against the loser of Psych versus Rufon. So yeah, we'll definitely have to like wait for those two to schedule their match. But yeah, again, this tournament is far from over for these two. Yeah, Rubydragon getting out of the updraft section here. I think they took a similar death to Tidal on that one flag. Get to that last green. Yeah, skips flag 5, but the screen transition serves as checkpoint enough, so really no need to wait for the flag 5 animation. Yep, on to flag 4 now, or flag 3 now. All right, and Rubydragon has completed their run. So, yeah, 38-37, about 2.5 minutes behind Tidal. But again, their tournament's not over, and they still had a really excellent race. So get some GGs in chat for Rubydragon. That was a really solid performance for both runners. Okay, so we are real quick going to see if we can get the runners in here for an interview, so just hold on 1 second.
Hi.
All right, hello. GG on the race. Yeah, sorry that you had to take the loss, but how do you feel about that run?
Oh my god, it was so bad. Yeah, I don't know. Like, really, in the beginning, first chapter was absolutely terrible, and second chapter was pretty terrible as well. So yeah, I don't know. I'm happy that I got sub 30 with those chapters actually. Like, I don't know.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't imagine that would be the run that you wanted. But we're also joined here by the winner of this race, Tidal. GTU Tidal, how do you feel about that win?
I feel okay. I mean, I was 0.2 seconds away from PB, so I feel pretty good about the run. I think I could have done some things better, but I mean, you can always do some things better. So I'm just pretty happy that I was able to perform this well today.
Yeah, GG.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, no, you both gave a really solid performance. Like, I think the lead was, or the separation was as much as like 7 seconds coming out of Golden Ridge. But yeah, Tidal, your late game kind of really sealed that race for you.
Yeah, I feel like my first few chapters I'm always a couple seconds behind, but then my muscle memory kicks in for like Reflection and Summit especially.
Yeah, I actually hope to be better than I was in Summit as well, because I currently try to get the Golden Berry, but I don't know, somehow I just completely failed. I don't know. Yeah. I also haven't played a lot this week, so that might.
Yeah, same. I did runs yesterday, and I hadn't played for like 2 weeks before then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just played like Chapter 7 more or less casually to try and get the Golden Berry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that like I think there was like a week layover between like the end of group stage and the start of brackets, so I think that's kind of been messing with some of the muscle memory there. But yeah, again, GG both of you. So I think your next matchup, Tidal, you're gonna get the winner of Psyched and Rufon, and Rubydragon, you get the loser of that match. So are you kind of looking forward to that?
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
I'll have to study up.
I'm just happy that I have another race in this tournament. At least one other. So, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we also have another race coming up after this one. So, do you have any final thoughts, either of you?
Just good game. I had fun.
Yeah, GG. Thanks for commentating and Speak Gaming for hosting.
Oh, yeah, and thank you guys for racing. I think we are gonna clear out of here. Again, we do have another race coming up almost immediately after this one. Maybe a few minutes for setup. Let me just refresh myself on who the runners are. Yeah, it looks like we get KBZZ42 versus Texter, and commentary for that is going to be handled by RD Bunnykin. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that, because that's going to be a really fun race to watch. And again, we have like more Celeste coming at you this week. Like the bracket stage is like under full swing. So yeah, stay tuned to Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 6. And again, follow the runners. They gave us a really good show. It took a lot of time to get this good at the game. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for us. Again, GG to both Rubydragon and Tidal. And yeah, we will see you for the next race. Now, yeah, have a good night, y'all.
Goodbye.